Hello students, this is the chapter 15, Our Environment. This is the last chapter of your syllabus of this session. Very interesting and very easy chapter, so listen carefully. So why do we need to study about our environment? We need to study about environment. We need to know the science behind environment to protect it. Because अगर हमें नॉलेज नहीं होगी एनवायरनमेंट की, साइंस की, तो हम इसको प्रोटेक्शन के लिए इनोवेशन नहीं कर पाएंगे. As you know, due to industrialization and urbanization, it has a very severe effect on our environment. So to keep our environment clean and safe, we need to know about this. So in scientific term, we call it ecosystem. And what is ecosystem? It is a system of biotic as well as abiotic components. You have studied in previous classes what are biotic. Biotic means living components, plants, animals, and abiotic means non-living like sunlight, air, soil. So ecosystem is a system of biotic and abiotic components interacting with each other. You know, जो biotic component होते हैं वो abiotic से interact तो करते हैं, तभी जो है life आगे बढ़ती है, तभी जो है life possible है. Because if there is no soil, then plants cannot exist, right? So ecosystem consists of all living organisms in an area along with non-living. You can say system of biotic and abiotic components and their interaction. This is called ecosystem. And you are familiar with various types of ecosystem. Natural ecosystems are like forests, deserts, grasslands, mountains, ponds, lakes. These are all natural. And artificial, which are made by humans, are gardens, parks, crop fields. Okay. And what are the components of ecosystem? You already know that biotic components and abiotic components. Biotic components, living components like plants, animals, and microorganisms. And we further divide biotic components in more categories. So as you know, the main component of our ecosystem are plants, because plants are the ultimate sources of food. So plants are called producers. Producers, green plants which produce food by photosynthesis. Okay. Then consumers, which consume. They can be directly dependent on plants, or they can be carnivores which take food indirectly from plants. Right. So what are consumers? Consumers may be herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. Herbivores take directly from plants, you know, carnivores indirectly. So very easy concepts. Decomposers. Decomposers, what do decomposers do? They are microorganisms like algae and fungi which decompose dead plant and animals. Okay. And how? They convert organic substances into inorganic, because the dead animals, dead plants are organic. They decompose them and make simple inorganic substances, and those inorganic substances are used by soil like nitrogen, phosphorus. These are all used by soil. Okay. And abiotic components, non-living like air, water, soil. Okay. So this is very easy, but the problem in occurs when waste is introduced in ecosystem. When polluted substances, pollution or insecticides, pesticides are introduced in ecosystem, then problem occurs and our environment becomes unsafe. So what are different kinds of wastes? You know, biodegradable waste. What are biodegradable wastes? These kind of wastes get decomposed into harmless substances like, you know, vegetable, fruits, pulses. These can be decomposed by microorganisms, but non-biodegradable like plastic, polythene bags, plastic, synthetic fibers, glass, they never get decomposed. They take a lot of time to decompose and they get accumulated in the environment, which is very harmful. Okay, so these are the different kinds of waste. You know about them. This was the very basic. You have studied in very classes, in your previous classes. Now one thing you may not be familiar with is food chain and trophic levels and food web. So what is food chain? As the name suggests, food. Food chain, as you know, food provides energy, so it is a flow of energy. A food chain is the flow of energy from one organism to the next. For example, plants are eaten by herbivores, and herbivores may be eaten by carnivores. Okay, so food energy is transferred from plants to herbivores to carnivores. Okay, so food chain is the flow of food energy from one organism to the next, and so on. Okay, and each level of food chain is called trophic level. What is trophic level? Each step in a food chain where transfer of food energy takes place is called trophic level. So as you know, the first trophic level and most important trophic level are plants because they produce the food. Okay. Second trophic level of food chain is primary consumers, means herbivores. Third trophic level consists of secondary consumers, means those animals which eat herbivores. And fourth trophic level or fifth trophic levels includes tertiary and quaternary consumers, okay, which are bigger carnivores. So these are the different steps in a food chain. Trophic levels is a one step in a food chain. There may be various trophic levels, but generally there are maximum 3 to 4 to 5 trophic levels. Why, I will tell you later. So these are the trophic levels. First trophic level producers, plants, second trophic level herbivores, and third and fourth carnivores. Okay, so take one example, very simple example of trophic level food chain. Look at here, forest. Forest ecosystem में what will be the food chain? Forest. See, grass is eaten by deer and deer is eaten by lion. This is the three trophic level food chain, and you can easily know that grass producer, deer primary consumer, and lion secondary consumer. Okay, grassland, in another grasslands there may be a food chain of four trophic levels. Grass is eaten by insects, and insects are eaten by frog, and frog can be eaten by snake. We can further reproduce it to five trophic levels, that is snake can be eaten by hawk. Okay, so in this way grass will be producer, insects will be primary consumer, secondary consumer, and tertiary consumer. Very easy. Okay, so trophic levels, a food chain is generally represented by a triangle. A triangle. Why? How? See, you can see here this is a food chain or flow of energy. Okay, so in our ecosystem, how flow of energy takes place? Energy begins from sunlight. Okay, energy starts from sunlight because with the help of solar energy plants carry out photosynthesis. Okay, so sunlight is the ultimate source of energy. Okay, sunlight is taken by producers to make food. Okay, and that food energy is transferred to primary consumers, secondary consumer, tertiary consumers. This is the flow of energy in ecosystem. Sunlight to plants to herbivores to secondary consumers. Okay, and you see here this is a food chain represented by a triangle. So the lowest trophic level represents producers. Why? As you can see, as you move up, okay, this area gets reduced. ठीक है, सबसे ऊपर वाला जो ट्रॉफिक लेवल है उसका एरिया बहुत कम है और सबसे नीचे वाला है उसका बहुत ज़्यादा है. और इन easy words you can say that energy goes on decreasing as we move from low trophic level to high trophic level. Okay, so plants at lowest level have highest energy and secondary or tertiary consumers have lower energy. That's why we represent it by a triangle. Okay, so in this figure you can see producers are grass or plants, then primary consumers, okay, insects, rat, then secondary consumers, okay, and then tertiary consumers or bigger carnivores. Okay, so that's how you present trophic levels. This is called ecological pyramids or trophic level pyramids. Very easy. Now the question arises, how does this energy flow takes place? How energy flow takes place and how energy is transferred from one trophic level to another. You have to notice there is one law which is called 10% law. Very important and very easy to understand that from one trophic level to another only 10% of the energy is transferred. Rest 90% of the energy is lost to the environment. For example, if herbivores eat plants, then only 10% of the food energy will be actually transferred to the herbivores. Then in next trophic level, 10% of the energy is transferred. For example, plants have, just suppose that plants have 100 joule of energy, then herbivores will get only 10% of energy, 10, okay. Or we can suppose that plants have 1000 joule of energy, the next trophic level will have 100 joule of energy, 10%. The primary, you can say secondary consumers will have 10% energy and tertiary consumers will have only 1% energy. And in next trophic levels there will be insignificant amount of energy, and that is why there are only 4 to 5 trophic levels in a food chain, because only 10% of energy is transferred from one trophic level to another, and after 5 trophic levels energy gets completely lost. Okay, so you can read in this that green plants absorb 1% of solar energy. This is different from 10% law. It is saying जो सोलर एनर्जी आ रही है ऑन लीव्स पर जो सोलर एनर्जी आ रही है उसका प्लांट सिर्फ 1% यूज करते हैं. ग्रीन प्लांट्स एब्जॉर्ब ओनली 1% of solar energy falling to the leaves. Okay, after that, during the transfer of food energy from one trophic to level to the next, here the 10% law begins. One trophic level to the next, 90% of the energy is lost and 10% is transferred to the next trophic level. So there is a decrease in the amount of food energy. Okay, and this energy is lost in the during digestion or in the form of heat. So only 10% of energy is transferred. You can also see this figure. These are plants. Okay, if it has 1000 kilocalories, then primary consumers will get only 100 kilocalories, secondary consumers will get 10 kilocalories, okay, and tertiary only 1 kilocalories. Okay, so that's how you have to remember 10%. Okay, so let's see various examples of food chains in various ecosystems. So you studied various ecosystem: forest, grassland, pond. So grass, deer, lion, this is the simplest food chain, okay, in forest. So the question is, if the write a food chain with 3 trophic levels, or write the food chain in forest, so you will write grass is eaten by deer to lion. Okay, if you have to write the food chain with 4 trophic levels, then you will write food chain of grasslands, which is grass is eaten by insects, insects are eaten by frog, and frog is eaten by snake. If you have to write with 5 trophic levels, then you can add hawk, 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 which eat snakes. Okay, so these are the trophic levels food chain in forest and grassland. If you are asked to write the food chain in pond or oceans, okay, so you will write phytoplankton एक जो है organism होता है, sea organism, phytoplankton. Here phytoplankton is eaten by zooplankton. Okay, zooplankton is eaten by fish. Okay, so zooplankton is eaten by fish and fishes are eaten by sharks. So you can write this food chain in ocean. So in your NCERT book you can see different food chains, and also in these notes. Okay, so you have to remember one food chain of each ecosystem. So what is food web? The organisms in one food chain, it is not necessary कि कोई एक organism एक food chain में है तो उसे वो उसी फूड चेन में रहेगा. दैट ऑर्गेनिज्म may be eaten by another organism of another food chain, like insects can be eaten by birds or rats. Okay. And plants, which are generally found in each food chain. Okay. So a web is a group of several interconnected food chains. Okay. So a group of interconnected food chains is called food web. In a food web, an organism gets food from more than one group of organisms. So this is very easy and basic chapter. You have to learn this very easily. What is biological magnification? Magnification, you know about magnification. It is the increasing in amount or size. कोई चीज़ इंक्रीज हो रही है साइज में, अमाउंट में, उसको मैग्निफिकेशन बोलते हैं. क्या चीज़ इंक्रीज हो रही है? बायोलॉजिकल मैग्निफिकेशन. समथिंग बायोलॉजिकल मीन्स इन फूड चेन इन ट्रॉफिक लेवल समथिंग इज मैग्नीफाइंग, समथिंग इज इंक्रीजिंग, विच इज हार्मफुल केमिकल्स. हार्मफुल केमिकल्स लाइक इंसेक्टिसाइड एंड पेस्टिसाइड्स. ओके, यू नो कि इनका यूज़ कहाँ पर होता है? प्लांट्स में, विच आर यूज टू प्रोटेक्ट क्रॉप्स फ्रॉम इंसेक्ट्स. Okay, so insecticides, pesticides, these poisons, these harmful substances enter food chain directly from the first level, which is plants. And since these chemicals are non-biodegradable, these are not biodegradable, so they get accumulated at every trophic level and their concentration increases. It means that क्योंकि ये chemicals जो हैं इंसेक्टिसाइड, पेस्टिसाइड, जो हम क्रॉप्स को बचाने के लिए यूज़ करते हैं, तो जैसे ही हम इनको प्लांट्स में यूज़ करते हैं तो दे एंटर द फूड चेन. एंड आफ्टर दैट, बिकॉज ये बायोडिग्रेड नहीं होते हैं, ये डिकम्पोज नहीं होते हैं, दे गेट इंक्रीज इन ईच एंड एवरी ट्रॉफिक लेवल. ओके, सो दिस इज द प्लांट्स which have insecticides. Okay, these get eaten by primary consumers. Then these harmful chemicals get transferred to the primary consumers. Okay, and then in next level these chemicals get more accumulated. Okay, they get chemicals from both producers and primary consumers, so they get accumulated at each trophic level. Okay, and in this way this is called biological magnification, which is accumulation of harmful chemicals from one trophic level to the next. And you know that generally humans are at highest trophic levels generally. So you can say that increase in concentration of harmful chemicals in the bodies of organisms at higher trophic levels is called biological magnification. Okay, generally humans ही जो है highest trophic level पर occupy होते हैं. So the concentration of these harmful chemicals is maximum in our bodies. As you can see in this trophic level, in this pyramid, humans are at highest trophic level, phytoplankton, then insects, then fishes. Okay, and humans may be both herbivores and carnivores. So these chemicals get accumulated in our bodies. This is called biological magnification. We talk about DDT is also an harmful chemical. So for example, if DDT in water is very less, 0.0003, okay, per parts million, then zooplankton will have 0.04 and small fishes have 0.5. As you can see, the concentration of DDT is getting increased in every trophic level, and the hog, which is at highest trophic level, has highest amount of DDT in his body, because it is getting energy food from all other trophic levels. So you have to learn what is biological magnification. So we have to take care of the waste we produce. We have to use more biodegradable substances. Okay, how can we manage other garbage? The garbage we produce, we can reduce them, we can reuse them. If something is non-biodegradable like plastic bottles, we can use them again and again, so that is reuse. And we can also recycle. Okay, or we can make biogas and manure from them, we can make compost. So we have convert them into useful substances. That's how we can manage garbage. आपने सुना है ओजोन लेयर के बारे में, that ozone layer protects us from UV radiation. okay, and protects our environment. So UV radiation is ultraviolet radiation, and ozone layer protects us from it. But how? Ozone layer protects us from UV radiation by using it in its formation. Means ओजोन लेयर के फॉर्मेशन में यूवी रेडिएशन का बहुत बड़ा कंट्रीब्यूशन होता है. वो कैसे? ओजोन का फॉर्मूला आपको पता है, O3 होता है. O3 कैसे बनता है? O3 बनता है O2 प्लस O से. अब ये जो O है, सिंगल O है, मोनो ऑक्सीजन है, दैट कम्स फ्रॉम UV radiation when oxygen gas molecule is splitted into O plus O by UV radiation. UV radiation splits some oxygen molecules into free oxygen atoms which combine with oxygen molecules to form O3. So how does this happen? O2 splits into O plus O and some another O2 molecules combine with single O to form O3. Thus you can see that ozone layer uses UV radiation, okay, in its formation and does not let pass it into the atmosphere. So the ozone layer present in higher layer of atmosphere protects the earth from UV radiation. And UV radiation has very harmful effect. It can cause skin cancer in humans. Okay. So if there is no ozone layer, UV radiation will directly come to the humans, to the atmosphere. But ozone layer uses UV radiation in its formation, and in this way it protects the atmosphere. But still, due to some human activities, due to release of some chemicals like chlorofluorocarbons, which are used in refrigerators and fire extinguishers, which is causing a hole in ozone layer. So the use of CFC is being reduced. You can see that from sun ultraviolet rays reaches our atmosphere. And in which part of atmosphere ozone layer is present? It is present in stratosphere. As you can see, these are the parts of atmosphere: troposphere, stratosphere, and ozone layer is present in stratosphere. Okay, so ozone layer forms when oxygen molecule combines with single oxygen atom. Okay, so UV radiation gets used up here and does not reach our earth. So this is our beautiful earth, and that's this blue shining layer, you can see it's ozone layer. Okay, so this is very easy chapter. Revise it very well from NCERT book and notes.